Greetings, everyone. So today we continue our look at the Alien franchise with the third installment, Alien Cubed, or Alien 3. I don't know why they made it a little 3. That's just to be stylish, just for the hell of it. I don't know. It's just one of a lot of things that don't make sense about this movie. I just want to interject here quickly. One of my big pet peeves is when people call it Aliens 3. It's not Aliens 3. Do you see an S there? No, it's Alien 3. The only one that's aliens is Aliens. All the others are Alien, singular, something. 3 or Resurrection or whatever. Anyway, let's talk about it. Alien 3 Cubed today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Alright, so Alien 3 came out in 1992, which meant I was 20 years old. I could see it in the theater. Oh my god, for the first time, an Alien movie that I could go and see in the theater. And something like science fiction stuff, that stuff I really like to see in the theater, because you just see those grand sweeping spacescapes and epic spaceships and alien landscapes and what have you. That's the kind of shit I like to see on the big screen. So I was really stoked when I heard there was a third Alien movie coming out and I could finally see it in the theater. I didn't know much about it. All I knew was that Sigourney Weaver was coming back, that she was going to be bald apparently. What's up with that? And that this one would be getting back to basics. Bringing back, the second was a lot more action heavy. This was going to be much more focused on the horror, much like the first one. So instead of being a whole bunch of aliens, there's only going to be one alien hunting them down and, just terror and scariness and suspense. And it sounded great. So I was like, awesome, that sounds fantastic. I can't wait to check it out. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they continue the story of Ripley, Newt, and Hicks. I'm going to have to go with the crowd on this one. I am so fucking pissed off that they killed off Newt and Hicks in the first goddamn scene. Not even the first scene, the opening titles. They killed them off in the opening titles. These two characters that we came to know and love over the course of the second movie, and they kill them off in the fucking opening titles. Like, let's just not even bother. I mean, people say, like, oh, well, it wouldn't have been that interesting anyway. You know what? Fuck you. Hold on a second. You don't think that it would have been interesting doing a story about Newt and Hicks and Ripley and what happened later? Read the fucking comics. Seriously. If you honestly think they were going to go back to Earth and have happy, fun time, nice family picket fence time, this is the goddamn Alien universe. There's no way it was going to be all fun and games. And if you read these comics, you will see that there are other stories to be told with these characters, and they are wonderful stories. I'm going to talk about these comics very soon, by the way. But I just wanted to say, for any doubters that there could have been more to the story of Newt and Hicks, read these comics. They show just how good it could have been. This is what might have been, but they chose not to go down that route instead. I always felt that the most logical continuation for the Alien saga would have been, number 3, have the aliens come to Earth. Number 4, we find their homeworld and we take the fight to them. Done. There's your quadrilogy. But instead, no, we have this pointless detour to this prison planet. And why? How is that a logical continuation of the story? That was my biggest problem with Alien 3, was it was not a logical continuation of the story. I'm not saying that you should just be predictable and do exactly what we're expecting, no. But I mean, for God's sake, have it a logical continuation of the story. Aliens was a logical continuation of the story from the first one. The first one, it ends with Ripley in space, off to, wherever. She gets, a detour that is just this beautifully tragic detour where she's lost her whole former life because she's been in deep space for so frickin' long. But then redeems herself over the course of the story, finds her catharsis by dealing with the aliens and rescuing Newt and everything like that. So, Chapter 3, I was expecting to see another continuation of that, a furthering of that character's arc. And now we have these two new characters in the form of Hicks and Newt, that there are just limitless possibilities to explore. And no, let's just kill them off in the opening scene, so it's just Ripley again. Let's just throw all of that character development right out the fucking window because it doesn't fucking matter. Thanks, Fox! Good job! Well, I just started this one right off with a rant, didn't I? So do I like Alien 3? Alrighty. Is it all bad? Honestly, as a film, no, it's not all bad. My biggest beef with it is that it's not a good continuation of the Alien story. It didn't take the story in a direction that I feel it should have gone in, i.e. to actually build on the mythology. The first two movies built on each other. And that's where I think the biggest failing of Alien 3 was it did not build on the mythology. It didn't add anything new to it. That, the only thing it added to it was basically confirmation that depending on what type of creature the facehugger latches itself onto, partly determines the biology of the alien that emerges. So in this case, if you watch the theatrical version, it's the dog. If you watch the assembly cut, it's the ox, but the end creature is the same. So it kind of messes with that theory. But anyway, technically, I think the alien in Alien 3 is considered the dog alien, despite what we see in the assembly cut. My personal preferred cut of the movie is by far the assembly cut. However, in terms of the alien biology, I think the dog burster is better than the ox burster. But I understand why they put the alternate version into the assembly cut, is just because, because it was filmed, it was there, so let's put it in there and see how it would have appeared had it been in there. I would love to see kind of an ultimate cut of Alien 3 that actually puts the dog scene back in, and maybe a couple other minor things. Kind of take the best bits from both and just make like this ultimate super deluxe cut. But maybe have 3 versions of it, and you can choose between them with seamless branching. Easy to do on Blu-ray. Anyway, so yeah, my preferred cut is definitely the assembly cut, for the simple fact that characters in the film get more complete stories. In particular, there's a whole subplot about them trapping the alien in this dead-end room, and that leads into another subplot that was cut from the theatrical version, which is a further exploration of the story of Gullick, the character played by Paul McGann, who's just this kind of crazy guy. And he ends up setting the alien free again, and then it leads into the big finale with the the ironworks and everything. But I love the fact, because in the theatrical version we don't find out what happened to Gullick. He just he's in the infirmary and is accused of killing the other guys, and then we just never really see him again. He just kind of disappears. Everyone just said, well, I assume he got killed somewhere because everybody else did. But in the assembly cut, we actually find out the fates of a lot of these characters whose fates were excised from the theatrical cut. So in terms of the story and the completeness, I think it flows way better than the theatrical cut. Now, if you watch the behind-the-scenes stuff about Alien 3, some great documentaries, and a very frank and honest documentary. Even David Geiler and Walter Hill are just like, fuck, they wanted us to make a third one. And we really didn't feel it was necessary. It was just studio pressure. But they're very honest about the whole thing. And everybody in it is very honest. And the long and short of it is, it was a very troubled production. There was a ton of studio interference. It was David Fincher's first major film. And, he's basically disowned it at this point. Like, that's why the assembly cut is not a director's cut, because he doesn't want any fucking thing to do with it. He basically, said, fine, whatever, do whatever you want, I don't even care. that movie can go fuck itself, basically. So, I mean, all you David Fincher fanboys who defend this thing tooth and nail, honestly, David Fincher himself hates it, okay? You're not doing him any favors by blindly loving this movie and claiming that it's the best of the four, because it really is not, for a variety of reasons. Not just the story reasons, but also just the fact that the production itself was so messed with. It is not David Fincher's vision, okay? Neither version are David Fincher's definitive vision. We will never, ever see that vision because it was never, ever filmed. We get tastes of it. We get hints of it. But as much as the assembly cut is an improvement, it still does not fix all of the issues with it. And all of the issues, I think, started from the very beginning with just, the decision to kill off Nix and Hoot, yes, Hicks and Newt, but also just this huge detour that it takes the story in, which I think was a massive misstep right from the moment go. I mean, there was, I don't know how many different versions of the script. Frank Miller even wrote a version, like an Alien 3 script, which I keep forgetting about. I need to track that down and read it. I'd really like to check out what he had in mind for it, but I understand it's completely different from what we saw on screen. But that's only one. There was tons of other scripts out there, and I'd be really curious to know, a little bit more about those. I'll have to look into that at some point. But yeah, I guess to get back to what I was saying, is it all bad? No, I don't think it's all bad. There's definitely some good to be found here. I gained a new appreciation for it just as a film, seeing the assembly cut. And one of the things that really strikes me about it is just the visual design. Like the visual design of the prison planet and just this like gothic industrial kind of, really dirty and dangerous and just massive machines and everything. It's a beautiful looking film. Like it's very dark and very depressing, but it's supposed to be. I mean, this is a prison planet, But I love just the whole look and feel of it, where it's really got this, as I said, sort of gothic / industrial vibe to it, and it really feels lived in. Things are breaking down and stuff like that. So, I mean, the production design in it is just fantastic. One other thing I should mention about the assembly cut, when the original DVD came out, the Alien Quadrilogy set that introduced these additional special editions for the third and fourth ones, the version that they had on there, they had, the footage wasn't quite remastered. Some of it looked a little bit rough. And they only had on-set audio for a lot of it. And so they would actually have subtitles for some of the dialogue there, because it was really hard to hear the actors over all the hissing and clanking and banging of the mechanics of the set. Because they had a lot of actual, vents and steam jets and things like that, and it made a lot of noise on set. So, of course, in the final production, all the voices would be dubbed over, and it would all be, Foley sound. But they didn't have any. They didn't record any of that because none of that footage was used in the theatrical version. So they just went with the production audio at the time. Now, for the Blu-ray edition, they actually went back and got the original actors, as many as have survived anyway, and had them re-record the dialogue for those scenes, and then layered in the Foley tracks and the music and everything. So this version is basically perfect. It's flawless. There is nothing rough or incomplete in this version. It's the best looking version and sounding of the assembly cut that has ever been seen. I don't think it's ever going to be any better than that. I have to say, fantastic cast in this. Holy crap, it's like a who's who of amazing British actors. I mean, you got Charles Dance as Clemens, the doctor. You got Charles S. Dutton, just a standout performance. Well, he's not a British actor, but Charles S. Dutton, just fantastic actor, standout performance as one of the inmates, who kind of helps to keep the other inmates in line. It's like they're prisoners who've kind of found religion, and they have very strict beliefs and such to keep their temptations under control. And of course, Ripley showing up, the only woman on this planet full of men who are rapists and murderers, really throws a wrench into the works. But Charles S. Dutton, I mean, I love his character in this. He's kind of like the reluctant guardian angel of Ripley, and just a really interesting character. Got Lance Henriksen back, of course, as Bishop and as Bishop 2. And then you've got, who is it? You've got Pete Postlethwaite, who is a character actor you would definitely recognize. He was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in The Name of the Father, actually, with Daniel Day-Lewis. Just a great character actor. Seen him in tons of stuff over the years. One that I recognized immediately was Clive Mantle, who is a name that may not be familiar to a lot of you, but Clive Mantle I recognize because he played Little John in the Robin of Sherwood series in the mid-'80s. He's just this big guy who's just got a fantastic voice. And he played Little John. So anyway, I recognized him, and I was like, oh my god, it's Little John. Now, it was sometimes hard to pinpoint the different actors, because, of course, they're all shaved bald, and I'm used to seeing Little John with his beard and everything. So it was weird seeing him completely clean-shaven everywhere. But yeah, I recognized, as soon as he spoke, I recognized, like, oh my god, it's Clive Mantle. That's awesome. But yeah, just a terrific cast. And I think the excellence of that cast and what amazing, compelling actors they are is one of the saving graces of this movie, and one of the reasons I do continue to come back to it despite my problems with the plot. And of course, Sigourney Weaver, wonderful as always. She's always a delight. I love her to death in everything I see her, and I think she's just a wonderful, beautiful, charming, compelling actress who I've always enjoyed and everything. And she's hardly aged a day. Like, talk about aging gracefully. Holy crap. Like, nature has been so kind to that woman. But, yeah, so an amazing cast. I also really love the music score in this. Just an amazing music score. I think it's one of the last truly great Alien music scores. It's this beautiful combination of, you got sort of sinister synthesizer, strings. There's always been a lot of string motifs in the Alien soundtracks, and this one is no exception. And then you've got these almost angelic choir layers as well, which sort of add to the sort of ethereal quality, and also kind of add to the religious angle of the prison, and how they're all kind of, servants of God, as it were. Well, not really servants of God, I guess, is more being in God's, I don't know how you describe it. They're being punished through they're being punished by God by being there, and, that's their penance. That's the word. Penance is, having to deal with all these things, and then, throw the alien into the works doesn't make things any easier. A couple things I have to say, though, in terms of production. Those are the good things about production. The cast, the visual design, like the set design and everything, and the music. Just all fantastic. The special effects, however, honestly, are absolute fucking garbage. Like, in particular, the compositing. The compositing is ass in this. The colors are mismatched and mistimed. There's just rampant matte lines all over the goddamn place. Like, what the fuck? Were they just rushing through everything and not bothering to actually properly time anything? Like, color time it? Like, come on. I mean, you compare it's still all model work. It's all practical effects. But you compare the practical effects in this. In particular, look at the spaceships going through space. Compare the spaceships in space in this to the spaceships in space in the first two movies. And you tell me that the first two movies don't look miles better. Why? Has special effects technology not progressed in the 6 years since Aliens? Like, come on. I don't know what the hell happened, but now the alien itself was done a couple of different ways. You have the guy in the suit, which we're accustomed to seeing from the other two, but then you also have, everybody thinks it's CG. It's not CG. I know CG was starting to happen around this time. We had Terminator 2 a couple years earlier, really kind of put it in the spotlight. But there's really not any, if much, CG in this. It's all practical effects. but practical effects composited and green screened and whatnot into the live action elements. So the alien, when it's the guy in the suit, actually looks really good. You know, it's very reminiscent of the previous two. The design of the alien looks really good. It looks it's a lot faster moving alien than what we've seen before. Basically, if you go by the theatrical version, because he has dog DNA, so it makes him run faster. I guess you could kind of say it's the same with the ox, but biologically speaking, I think it works better as the dog. But, so as far as I'm concerned, despite what we see in the assembly cut, it's the dog. I know I said that before, I'm just reiterating that point. But then there's other things with the alien where it's not stop motion, but it's they use like a rod puppet and then composited it in, and it looks horrible. I mean, not just like the rod puppeteering itself is fine, and the design of the rod puppet is fine. What's horrible is the compositing. The compositing is just ass throughout this whole movie, and it looks god-awful and takes you right out of it. Now, this is not because I'm watching the assembly cut and it's some unfinished effects. Yeah, there's a few assembly cut specific effects. They're a little bit rough around the edges, but all the effects are like that. All the compositing effects in this are ass. They are absolute ass, and not a nice firm ass that you want to squeeze. This is a big flabby saggy ass that, you know, has been sitting on its ass for God knows how long. It's horrible. Hemorrhoids everywhere. It's the worst compositing I've ever seen in an alien movie. And it angered me. So I was like, this is a fucking alien movie. It's 2 movies in. It already has a legacy. Why are you being so goddamn lazy with it? Why are you fucking with the director? Why are you doing all this studio interference? The other 2 were basically auteur films. You had Ridley Scott and working with H.R. Giger. You had James Cameron working with, well, himself. These are fucking auteurs. They have proven through 2 staggeringly successful movies that you get a good team on these. They know what the fuck they're doing. Leave them to it. You will get a profitable, quality product that people will want to revisit again and again and again. To me, the big test of a film and its success is its longevity. You look at Alien. That's a movie that you can come back to again and again and again. That is one that you will repurchase on every new format that comes out because it's a great movie and you know you're going to watch it 100 fucking more times before you die. Ditto Aliens. You know, I see that on the shelf and the VHS days like, oh, Aliens. I'm going to buy that. I need that in my collection. This has to be in my collection. Does anybody say that about Alien 3? I've never owned Alien 3 individually. I never owned it on VHS, never owned it on Laserdisc. The only time I ever got it was when I bought the Alien Quadrilogy set and it was included. I was like, well, guess I own Alien 3 now. People say that Alien Resurrection is the worst one. No, it isn't. It really isn't. But we'll talk about that one next time. I'm losing my voice now. I've been working all day and I just screamed at the camera for 20 minutes, so I think we're done. Alien 3. Oh, actually, no, we're not done. There's one more thing I wanted to share with you. Remember how I said I finally got to see it in the theater because I was 20 years old? Well, I was living in Winnipeg, Manitoba at the time, and I went to see it, I guess, did I have a girlfriend? I had a girlfriend at the time. We went to see it together. And, you know, the biggest issue I had with it at the time was, well, all the things I mentioned before. But the other thing was, it just isn't scary. I went in all excited, expecting to have the same kind of scares as the first one. Because it was one alien again. No. And the way I described it at the time for years afterwards was Alien and Aliens. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Alien 3, my butt was firmly planted in the back of my seat, and at not once did I have the urge to move it. So, 1992, movie's still in theaters. I went to see it, didn't care for it. I was living in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I went back to Toronto, Ontario to visit with relatives and friends for a couple of weeks. And I met up with my good friend Jason. who you guys is a name you guys may recognize for anyone who's seen the Multimedia Chronicles Retro series, which will come back eventually. But for those of you who have seen it, you'll be familiar with at least who Jason is. He was a good friend of mine from high school. We would send video letters back and forth, and anytime I would come out to Toronto, I would always make sure to let him know, and we'd get together and hang out and stuff like that. So this one day, we're just hanging out at the mall, doing some shopping, grabbing some lunch, and we passed by the movie theater. And, well, take a look. Jason is filming, and I'm talking. Enjoy.
Can't find anybody, then it works. Yeah. 3 managers. This restricted here. I have to
John, what do you think of this movie? That one?
Yes.
Aliens 3.
Sucks. You know,
How many thumbs?
2 down.
Two down?
There's a set of
One up?
rules for me.
Maybe one up.
She
Yeah,
hates
right.
it. She has
2 up my nose.
First date that she started with.
Taping. Nice poster. That's about it.
3.
If we look down here, we can peer into the vortex and see where we've been. Yes.
This is the previous part. And there is Aliens 3.
Sucks.
I hear that a lot.
Probably because I say it a lot. Yeah.
And there you go. It's not much, but that was my assessment at the time. As you can see, my reviews are a little more verbose now. Anyway, big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, especially my highest level sponsor, Kyle Pellegrini. Thank you very much. I'm sorry to say that Get Your Gorgeous On has other concerns right now, so we won't be mentioning them, but we wish them all the best and hope that all is well and that everything works out fine. So we love you guys. Still go and check out their blog. Get Your Gorgeous On, always maintained with love and tenderness by Michelle O'Toole and Simon Hedger. We will definitely miss you here on the Multimedia Chronicles, guys, but I hope you'll continue to watch, even if you're not a Patreon sponsor anymore. It's all cool. It's good. We appreciate all the support you've given us over the years. Alrighty, so I should pick a chocolate bar, eh? Let's see, what do we got here? How about, oh, perfect. Reese's Pieces. Because Alien 3 is when the franchise started to go to pieces. I'll see you next time, folks. Until then, thanks for watching. And sayonara.